Welcome back to Trust Me, I'm a Philosopher, where we explore trust, what it is, why it matters, and how to build it. Today is another episode in the occasional series on philosophical theories of trust, and we're going to be talking about not one, but two different kinds of trust. Twice the bang for your buck today. Let's start off by thinking about the kind of case we have when we talk about, say, trusting a shelf to take the weight of a book. Not the most exciting cutaway there. But I will note that some of the books there are available in all good bookshops. Collapses, I'll be cross. I will be frustrated, but, well, that's probably about it. Now consider another case, perhaps that of me trusting my wife to save me the last of the biscuits. If I trust her to do that and she doesn't, I'm not just going to feel cross, well, I'll feel hungry, I'm also going to feel betrayed by her. I'm going to feel like she's betrayed my trust. And it does seem in there like there's an important difference. In the first case, where I'm trusting the shelf to take the weight, the consequence of failure is frustration. In the second, here we have a case of trusting a person, and the consequence of failure is betrayal. And since betrayal is a moral wronging, that feels like it's a really significant and important difference. And it seems like we might therefore have two different kinds of trust on our hands. Now, Paul Faulkner distinguishes these two different kinds of trust as follows. On the one hand, we have what he calls predictive trust. And he analyses that as follows. Subject A predictively trusts S to perform an action if and only if A knowingly depends on S performing that action and expects S to perform that action, where A expects this in the sense that they will believe that S will perform the action. Now, we can illustrate that as follows. Suppose that I predictively trust a bus company to arrive on time in order to get me to work. I depend on the bus arriving to get me to work, and I believe, based on the schedule and the past reliability of the bus company, that it will arrive on time. Now, if the bus is late, I may be annoyed, but I won't feel personally let down or betrayed by the company in a way that targets their goodwill or moral failure. It's just that my prediction failed. We can contrast that to what Faulkner calls affective trust, whereby affect we just mean something like something that is felt. Subject A effectively trusts subject S to perform an action if and only if A knowingly depends on S performing that action and expects S's knowing this to motivate S to perform the action, where A expects this in the sense that he will expect it of S and S will be susceptible to that reactive attitude, characteristic of trust being let down, were S not to attempt it for that reason. Okay, that's fairly complicated and bears a little bit of unpacking. So let's walk through it with an example. So consider a case where I trust my wife to feed the dog. I depend on her to perform that action, and I expect that her knowing that I'm depending on her to motivate her to do it. So she knows I'm depending on her to do it and is motivated to do it because she knows that. Excellent. That's the first part of what Faulkner's saying. And I know the fact that I'm depending on you to like this video and subscribe to the channel will motivate you to do so as well. Okay. Now suppose that my wife doesn't feed the dog because for some reason it just slips her mind. In that case, I am susceptible to feeling let down by her not being motivated by my dependence, because she knew I was depending on her, and despite knowing that, didn't manage it. So I feel betrayed, I feel let down. That kind of serves to illustrate Faulkner's theory. Now, one of the really nice features of the theory is that it helps us to explain the mutual dependencies that are involved in trust, the way in which trust creates and sustains trusting relations. Affective trust helps us to build and sustain trusting relationships because it involves a form of dependence that both parties recognise. So when one person knowingly relies on another and expects that this reliance will motivate the other person to act well, the relationship in a sense becomes emotionally and morally charged. This shared mutual awareness makes the trust more than just a prediction. It's a kind of an important, meaningful connection with both parties having a clear and obvious stake in a relationship. We can explore this a little bit through using an example of workplace trust. So imagine that a manager, Anna, affectively trusts her colleague, David, to deliver a sensitive presentation. Anna depends on David to perform well. But she knows David is aware of how much she's relying on him, and she believes that David will be motivated by this knowledge to do his best, not just out of duty, but because he respects the trust that she's placed him in. Now, that mutual awareness and responsiveness really helps us to build a stronger working relationship, one that can endure even if things go wrong sometimes, as they will. And that's all for this time. I hope you enjoyed that quick exploration of Faulkner's view of trust. Until next time, stay affectively trusting.